All right, hello and welcome to the San Jose State Weekly Football Press Conference. San Jose State returning home this week for homecoming against San Diego State this Friday, 7:30 kickoff, 7 o'clock pregame on KTRB 860 AM and the Spartan Radio Network. The game will be also televised by CBS Sports Network, and you can grab your tickets for homecoming, 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com. Let's welcome in San Jose State head coach Brent Brennan.
Hello. Good to see everybody. So we are coming off a tough weekend at Colorado State. I want to give credit to Coach Adazio and his staff and that team. They played extremely well. As for us, there were some really good moments for us and some really frustrating ones. You know, if any situation, when you turn the ball over 3 times and don't take it away at all, it's going to make that game really hard to manage. I thought, considering some of those turnovers, I thought our defense did an outstanding job bowing up and holding them to field goals. But we just had trouble getting started. And so we've been working hard at it since we got back Saturday night, putting together a plan for, what I think is the best team in our conference right now in San Diego State. Brady Hoke is a fantastic coach. They have great players. Their quarterback is playing very, very efficient football. Their running back is an NFL player. He's outstanding. They always have a great O-line. They always have great tight ends. They have receivers that, do a good job of just attacking the football. And then on the other side of the ball, you have this just outstanding defense. And obviously that's something that, Rocky Long, that was his baby, and him and Brady kind of built that thing when they started there years ago. And it's continued ever since. And it's something different. You don't get to see it every week. And so you have a short week because we play on a Friday to prepare for a much different scheme, which is an incredible challenge. And so that's what we've been working on. I'm hopeful that we have a good crowd at CEFCU so far this season. Our fans have been fantastic. Fans, alumni, students. We've had great crowds. It's really created a great environment. It's homecoming for us. It's a little unique because we're playing on a Friday night, but television and homecoming and a great crowd. And hopefully we create a great environment for our players to play in. So I'm excited about it. We had a good day of practice today, and we're still putting it together and building our plan. So what do you got for me?
All right, we're going to go to questions now. Vitas, go ahead.
Coach, I have to do it. Any Starkel update?
Vitas, we don't talk about injuries here, and I'm hopeful that Stark will be ready to go soon.
And so no information whether he's probable, questionable, doubtful, or out?
No, this isn't the NFL, buddy.
Can you at least expand on what's his role been like helping Nick Nash, and how he's been able to participate and help the team in the locker room, in the quarterback room, and on the sidelines?
Well, I think that's one of the things that Nick does best, right, is that he's a leader. He understands the importance of the quarterback position. He understands how he fits within the structure and the leadership of the team. And so he's really confident talking to, obviously with Nick, but he's talking to everybody out, during the game, during practice. He's all over the place, talking with everybody, working with people, coaching people up, encouraging people, which is really good. And so, there's real value in his voice. And so I'm very appreciative with how he's handled his situation. And he's been important for Nick, right? Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Nick Nash was playing receiver, and now all of a sudden he's playing quarterback. And so he spent a lot of time with him going over the game plan, talking about his reads, watching film. And I know that's been valuable for Nash.
All right, we can move on.
All right, Vic Aquino, go ahead.
Hey, Brent. So with Nick Nash, obviously the athlete he is, and can you maybe talk about what kind of off script or options for him to be, who he is, to extend the field, what latitude does he have to go and be creative?
Well, I thought he did some of that on Saturday, and I think, he brings a lot to the table because he's also an accurate thrower. And so, there's a unique combination there where he can get himself out of trouble. I think Starkel would be the first to admit that Nick Nash is better at getting himself out of trouble than Nick Starkel is. But, so some of that stuff does give you, I think defenses have to play it a little bit more honest. But knowing the group that we're playing against, obviously Nick Nash played against them last year. And these guys are so good on defense and they're so aggressive and they come after you. And so his ability to extend plays or extend drives is going to be really important.
All right, Derek Al, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Derek out from the Spear and KSJS. I know you talked about overcoming those slow starts. What offensive adjustments are you guys making at practice?
In terms, help me understand your question better. Like, are we changing our practice structure to,
or just like schematically, like how you had to avoid those slow starts that you guys have been starting with? Like,
I think the hard part about that, Derek, is Saturday. We had a 12-play drive that ended with the interception, where their safety cut the over route on a naked and just made a nice play. Otherwise I was feeling really good about the drive that we had put together to start the game. And if you go back the week before, our first drive was, we played good football in the first half of that game, or the first quarter of that game. So, I think obviously there was some frustration on Saturday with some of that, just not moving the ball in the way we want to. And I think that comes back to, us as a coaching staff and our players all taking ownership of that and really dialing down on the details of what we're trying to get done in terms of executing the scheme and how we're trying to attack our opponent.
Okay, Kirk Kenny, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, this is Kirk Kenny from the San Diego Union Tribune. Wanted to ask you about when Nick Nash came in last year against San Diego State, there was a bit of an element of surprise. Can you talk a little bit about what he was able to do against them with them maybe not knowing too much about him?
Yeah, well, I think at the time, we were all, holding our breath a little bit just because Nick hadn't played much and he hadn't played for a full game. And when Starkle went out of that game, everybody was like, okay, here we go. But I think the thing that Nick did is Nick is just a real competitor. And, this really matters a lot to him. And he loves to play and he loves to practice. And I think he plays that way. And so, I don't know that, him coming in, I thought he executed our scheme really well in that game against San Diego State. And so, in terms of how we look at that last year to this year, we know this is a whole different year, right? New team, both sides of the ball, so new personnel that we have to prepare for.
How much did your game plan change once he came in last year? Would it have been pretty much the same, or did you change some things when he did come in?
The only way it changed is that obviously we had a couple designed quarterback runs, but otherwise the game plan didn't change. We called it just how we would have with Starkle in there, outside of asking Starkle to run the ball. But so it was really, we just played the game with what we had. Nick had been practicing that all along. Nash had, so he was pretty comfortable with what we had talked about in terms of our preparation for San Diego State's defense.
And then this year, if Nick Nash is the guy again this week, how much different do you think it is in the defenses or in your approach, knowing that they know a little bit more about him now this year?
Well, I would think for them, that's probably better, I guess. You know what I mean? But when you watch them play, it doesn't matter who they've played against or what type of quarterback they've played against. They have played extremely well on defense. They've played movement guys, they've played drop back passers, and they are just lights out on defense. So it hasn't mattered to them. So I would think they're going to do what they do because they've kind of been getting after everybody so far. Obviously they're 6-0, they're ranked, they're playing great football. So I would think that they would tend to, be who they are.
And then last thing for me, how big was that win in what you guys went on to do that and accomplish last season?
I think anytime you win a game on the road, it's huge for your program. I thought, that last year being such a unique time with COVID and the restrictions and all that stuff, having a road game going down there, and it was funky, right? Because you're playing, you're playing in Carson. There's no fans. You're not in an arena or any place that you've ever been before. So it was really about the team. And I thought the way our team leaned on each other and continued to fight and didn't lose hope and that belief when Starkle went out and, then continued to play really hard throughout the game. I thought that was huge for us. And it really gave us confidence going into the next one.
Well, I thought it also said something about your team because, you guys grabbed that game in the fourth quarter, and San Diego State usually doesn't let games get away like that. So that kind of, I thought, said something about your team that year too.
Yeah, it was awesome for us. And I think right now we're in a different place, and coming off a really tough loss at Colorado State, that we got to find that. We got to find that belief, and we got to find that that ability to finish games.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go over to Jackson Moore now. Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, just with the short week, how have things changed, and how you're preparing for this game, and especially considering you fielded or had to defend 50 plus rushes last week, and San Diego State maybe trying to do the same. How critical is the physical element in the short week as well?
Well, I think that always plays into it, having a road game against a tough physical opponent, then coming back home and having another physical opponent come in here on a short week. But what choice do you have, right? I think I mentioned it in my press game or my post game press conference, right? How it lines up is how it lines up, and you got to play. And so, our job is getting our players ready to go and giving them, schemes that we can execute at a high level and play with the kind of, physicality and effort that we need to play against a good team like San Diego State.
All right, Vitas, we're going to go back to you.
Coach, I know usually Monday's a day off for players, but you probably had to treat it like a Tuesday instead of your regular Monday, given that it's a short week. And with homecoming and all the activities that are happening, how is this week of preparation just different? It's going to, just how does it feel rushed, or do you just kind of just readjust what you consider each day to be?
Yeah. I mean, you absolutely readjust it. And I guess maybe Jackson, that was to your question too, like how we changed, how we practicing. We had a practice today, and today was like a Tuesday, right? So Monday's a Tuesday, Tuesday's a Wednesday, Wednesday's a Thursday, Thursday's a Friday, if you can follow that. But our guys adapted well to it. And, right now it's good practice for us to be in, because, in a week from now we play on a Thursday. So, we have to get ready to play an excellent football team here in Sefke Stadium, and, whatever's happening surrounding it, whether that's homecoming or the short week, those are just, things that we have to deal with and not let them be distractions. Just make sure that our focus and our effort is in the right place.
And I can't help but see the howling wind outside my window. And I'm guessing, wind's been a factor for you already in a couple of games. How could that maybe play a role on Friday?
Well, I would definitely say it's the year of the wind. I feel like every road game we've played has had really, really heavy wind. But, we just have to see what it is. Typically that's not an issue in Sefke Stadium. And in California in general, you normally get pretty good weather. But whatever it is, we'll play it. We'll get ready to go and we'll play football.
Derek, over to you.
Hey, Coach. Derek Deese had another touchdown reception last weekend. How have you seen him improved in practice compared to last year?
The awesome thing about Deese is that he never misses practice, and he takes all the reps. He takes a ton of reps in practice. It's really important to him. I think Coach Atkins does a great job preparing him to play, and he's really diligent about just the details and the route running and the blocking that he's asked to do. And, I think it's fun to see, a guy who's, at this stage in his career playing his best football. That's what you want. You want your seniors playing their best football, or, your super seniors playing their best football. So I'm really happy for Derek, and I'm optimistic that he'll continue to play at a high level.
Vic, go ahead.
Yeah, San Diego, they probably have the strongest identity of, like you said, one of the top teams you'll face this year, top 2, I think, in run defense, top 10 run offense. You know what's coming at you. And how would you rank versus getting everyone this week to focus on execution versus new plays in the scheme, or how do you kind of look at that when you know exactly who's coming at you?
Well, like I said, I think what they do is a little bit different than most people you play. Certainly on defense, what they do is different than everybody you play. And so that takes, time and detail and a lot of teaching. The fact that we play them every year, I'm hopeful that there's some carryover for our older players that have played against them more than once. But they're excellent at it. And I think obviously statistically, that supports that thought. So that's a big challenge. And then, what they've done, in my time here, they've always had good running backs. They've always had a great O-line. They've always had a great tight end. They've always had a good quarterback. Like, they've always been efficient on offense. That's their identity. So you definitely have to get ready to play a very physical team. Their running back is excellent. Like I already mentioned, you have to be ready for that just massive offensive line. I don't know where they get these guys. The O-line is big. Like, I'm jealous. They got some big old dudes, but they do a heck of a job, and they're always well coached, and they play great in the special teams. This is a complete football team that we're playing. And so we're going to need to have our best effort.
Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, they've had two different quarterbacks play this year. They've beaten Utah with 44 passing yards, I believe. What's your take on who they have at the position and how efficient they are, even when they haven't really needed to throw the ball a whole lot?
Well, I think that's, they know who they are, and they play that identity well. And their QB does a good job extending plays and getting them out of trouble. They run him a little bit. He throws it well. He throws it to the open guy. So, I think obviously they know how they're built, and they know who they want to be. And so that's how they play football. And so far, who can argue with the results, right? You beat a couple Pac-12 schools, and they're undefeated midway through the season. So they're doing a hell of a job.
Vitas, back to you.
Coach, you've mentioned it in general terms how what they do on defense is different, but can you be a little bit more specific for someone who doesn't have as much experience watching them? What is it about their scheme that is so different from what other schools, other programs do?
Well, it's just a ton of movement, and they play with an extra defensive back, but they're able to play, they're able to blitz and pressure you. They're able to man you up. They're able to play zone. They're able to get in a heavy box and defend the run. They're able to drop a bunch of people and play heavy coverage. Most people do that out of a more conventional scheme, with either 4 down or three down, but they do that with a whole bunch of different people and moving parts. And so the presentation of it looks different than what you see week in and week out. Last week we're playing a team, and they were lined up who they were, and they played it straight. And that was, and that proved to be challenging for us. This thing, San Diego State plays with an extreme amount of confidence, very, very physical, and they got really good players and athletes on the field. So they're an incredible challenge. All right. Thank you all.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out to the press conference this week. Once again, San Jose State at home for homecoming against San Diego State on Friday at 7:30. Pregame show on KTRB 860 AM will begin at 7 o'clock, and television coverage on CBS Sports Network. Get your tickets at 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.